up, everybody? Welcome back. It's your boy Kenny and your boy Skippy right there, man. We're coming back at you with
Yo.
another weekly recap, man. It ain't deja vu, but we back up in your feed, man. Welcome to the Fandom Frequency Network. If this is your first time joining us, we break down all kinds of topics in the world of pop culture, everything that we're the most passionate about, interested about, some of the big trending stuff. And sometimes we just throw in random ass movie and TV reviews because we want to talk about it. And we also take recommendations out there from our Fandom Frequency community, man. So make sure you join that community today and hit that subscribe button right there.
Right
Make
down
sure you
below.
click that bad boy, man. And it helps the show out immensely, man. We're trying to build up a great local community and worldwide community of positive, like-minded geeks that just love talking about stuff, man. They just love having fun talking about the stuff they love the most. And we've been doing these weekly recaps for none other than Jennifer Walters' introduction to the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm talking about episode 7, y'all. The Retreat,
yeah.
episode 7, starring that man right there, the acting legend Tim Roth, back up in the thing as Emil Blonsky. And we knew from the trailers, for those that pay attention like myself, looking for all the Easter eggs and all the details on what's going down, we did see some appearances of what looked like to be a therapy session with the She-Hulk. And I was like, I wonder when that's going to be taking place. Is that going to be during the same parole episode thing? And we found out in episode 3, it is not. So I figured we're going to get Emil Blonsky rolling up back in this thing. But when? Is it sooner rather than later? And it was a little bit later than I was expecting. But it's episode 7, The Retreat. And yeah, this one obviously is going to be... I didn't even have to take notes for it, man, because it's so light on like big crazy stuff. Which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, depending on who you are, man. A little bit of both for your boy here. But I didn't even have to take notes on this one because I got all the stuff up here, man. And Jen is having a great time going out with Josh. She might have got ghosted. There's some things going down. We got some therapy sessions and some breakthroughs going on, man. It's some really great stuff. There's some good stuff in this episode for sure. But yeah, man, Jen just got to work out some issues and work out that identity issue she's been having, and we've been seeing them tease throughout these last 6 episodes prior to this one. But with no further ado, I'm going to let my boy Skippy here have the floor, man. I want to know what you thought overall with this episode, my friend, because we were talking off camera, man, and I was looking forward to seeing your reaction to this, man, because a lot of fans, such as ourselves, have been anticipating Daredevil popping up in this thing, Matt Murdock's big return in costume. We know, what's the gentleman's name that created the costume? Do you remember?
Melvin.
Melvin, thank you. We know Melvin made him his new yellow and red classic costume from the comics, y'all. That Steve, almost said, I don't know why I said Steve, the Stan Lee era, man, Excelsior. And yeah, so we know he's gonna be popping up in this thing, but he didn't pop up in this episode, and I knew that was going to cause some interesting conversation today. So with no further ado, my brother, take the floor. The mic is yours. What did you think about She-Hulk episode 7?
Honestly, dude, I'm just kind of I'm like on that disappointed side, very much so. I've been very optimistic throughout the series and everything so forth. But like how I mentioned before, I was gonna save this whole talk until like the season finale. But I feel like they're just using Matt Murdock as a cushion flow to end off the whole series.
Woo!
Like it seems like they have no idea what they're doing like as a story as a whole with Jen's character. We only got like a little bit of explanation of like identity issues and a little bit more of like the
episodes,
issues of her.
Yeah, like a little bit in episodes 4, sprinkled into episode 6 as well. Most so focused in here in episode 7 as well.
Yeah, and I honestly don't mind it. I don't mind like that kind of story, but it seems like when in the writers' room, they're just all over the place, and it seems like they're using Daredevil as that. Like we all pretty much like the people who are like following like the whole like what's happening behind the scenes, like how I mentioned
following all the movie news and all the rumor mill and all that stuff. You know, the stuff we like to get into here.
Yeah, like and they mentioned that like pretty much that before trailers were released or anything so forth, that there was a lot of issues within the creative team of what they want to go with the writing of the show, of where they want to take this character. And we've been kind of seeing that a whole lot within the last couple of episodes. And it seems like they were able to bring in Daredevil, which was kind of confirmed already with the director saying that even in the writer's room, that's saying that they were able to use Charlie Cox out of nowhere, out of the blue, being as Daredevil, and Kevin Feige was the one that gave him news.
Yeah, they initially wanted to use Spidey, but Kevin Feige did the
Oh no, that's a whole other deal with like
can of
Sony.
worms, as they say.
Yeah, that's like a whole other batch. So they were able to use someone like Daredevil to come in, and they had to pretty much just use that character to be able to somewhat stick a landing for the show from what it looks like. Because throughout this episode, it was just not. I
Not
liked them.
flowing for you.
It didn't flow too well. Like I enjoyed the whole Tatiana's character, pretty much Jen just going through like the whole dating sequence with her boy and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
with
then
Josh.
with
Yeah, that was
Josh.
definitely very fun. Has that rom-com sitcom element that really played well. I thought that I'm like, okay, yeah, this vibe you guys are going for, nailing it right here.
Yeah, and it was cool to see actually Jen be able to do something like that with her relationship with Josh and everything so forth that we've seen in the previous episode. And then she ends up getting ghosted, and at that
we done
point,
all been there, man.
yeah,
Let me
yeah.
know in the comments, man. When's the last time you've been ghosted, man?
And at that point, she was constantly getting frustrated with the whole situation. And for me, like the moment she decided to meet with Tim Roth's character with Abomination and going towards the farm, like the characters in the farm, I was just like, they're like so for sure like D-list like
Yeah, for
heroes
sure.
of things like
I
that.
do love the MCU's leaning into that, though. I like
Going
that
into-
James Gunn influence is really playing in the MCU, even when he's not there. So
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like them using characters like this for a bit. So
For
I'm
a
not
bit.
gonna be like, what the fuck, man? Kingpin ain't supposed to be. You know what I mean? I ain't
Yeah,
gonna have
yeah.
that. I'm like, oh, Matador, who gives a fuck about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
you
at
can make
that
him as
point.
silly as you want. That doesn't really. It's just more the tone in the scene is more where does it line up there? But it's like, yeah, I didn't mind these characters being very zany and over the top. You know, that's comic books, man.
That's like just the comic book characters overall, especially for D-listers.
Yeah.
And I think that's why like throughout this like episode, it was just, it's like how I kind of anticipated like the previous episode. Like they have like their story kind of like, they kind of have like somewhat of a platform to go off with, and then this one is with Jen dealing with being ghosted and dealing with her identity, which I don't mind, but it just
Right.
feels like it was kind of bumpy along the way. And then they finally give us something that we're actually been kind of looking for, like a type of like the big bad, kind of like that whole plot of the behind the series of what we've been
Yep.
seeing sprinkled all across throughout the series. And it's just pretty much with Josh being like that double agent pretty much. And
Right.
that like, and it sets up that whole next 2 episodes. And I'm already going to predict that Matt Murdock will show up there within probably like the other half. And then he'll probably be there knowing
For the
like
finale.
how being there for the finale. Because knowing the news that they got him in last minute with Kevin Feige giving the green light, it's for sure going to be like the last, like the season finale and a little bit more of, season 8 as well. I mean, not season 8, episode 8 as
Episode
well
8, yeah, I
within
got you.
within like the other half of the episode, and he'll pretty much show up as one of the clients defending Melvin if they decide to go that route, because there's the only reason why he'll be heading out there in the first place. Even though like it's more of a New York case, but for some reason they're going for writing's sake they're going to do it more towards like West Coast case for Melvin to be
Side?
prosecuted unless they do something different. But
Right.
I think that's when we'll get more introduced to Matt Murdock. Then we'll see more of Daredevil within the season finale, and then like that's when we'll actually get her into using her suit and everything so forth
Get
afterwards.
that comic book accurate suit that we all love. The MCU fully embraces, man, from the beginning. And yeah, man, I gotta say that very last point you made there, 100% agree with you. I do think that's definitely the direction that the next 2 episodes are gonna go, at least essentially verbatim of what we're saying, or at least very close. But but I would, honestly, just to play devil's advocate though, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't show up until the end of episode 8 and doesn't even show up really much in there till post credit, last scene, something like that nature. I wouldn't be shocked. That's all I'm saying. I
mean,
wouldn't
honestly,
be surprised.
with like how this show's going so
You know
far,
what I mean?
I
It's
wouldn't let it by me. I would be
Yeah,
like,
you know what I
okay,
mean? And I'm
last
not gonna
5,
be like,
10
what the
minutes.
fuck? It's just like I'm kind of like looking at both of those possibilities. It's gotta be one or the other. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I would say overall, man, for me, I would say I enjoyed this episode for the most part. Definitely much more enjoyable than the last 2, dude. The last 2, I was where you've been at with like the majority of the show. I think the first episode, I think we were pretty much on the same page. I think we both really liked, or at least I loved the first episode. I don't know if you would say you loved it, but I think
It
you
was
would
okay,
say
yeah.
like good balance. If that was the tone of the show, kind of, I think the whole time, you probably would be more enjoying it a little more. I think you'd probably be like, I'm not anticipating it every week, but once I know I gotta watch it real quick for the show, I'm not gonna dread it and stuff. But it's like, but yeah, I would say this episode was definitely much more enjoyable, and I'm glad they started getting to more of the character development, more of that character building that we've been, sorely lacking and especially in the last 3 episodes. I'm sorry, last 2 episodes, but mainly, But 4, I thought they kind of set up the initial point of that with the dating and stuff like that, with her making the dating profile, the whole self-esteem issues with, do they like her for her, or do they just prefer She-Hulk and all that stuff. I thought they set the seeds there fine, and they were doing all right with that. But episodes 5 and 6, to me, got a little too distracted with a lot of the more sillier elements of the show and all that stuff like that, and spending more time on Titania than even who the big bad really is supposed to be of the series, I think has been a little bit of a detriment to them, where they're not leaning in more into what that is and what the overall stakes are, because now they got to do a lot of catch up within 30 to 50 minute episodes in these next 2, and unless they're both going to be 45, 50 minutes, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to cover all that side of the story in a very satisfactory manner, or in an economical way where it really comes across in the storytelling and stuff like that. And the whole thing of her getting ghosted, I definitely dug that, and the whole rom-com kind of sitcom thing we got going on there, I definitely dug that, and her just constantly checking the phone. And then once she gets over there, because she has to actually, because the whole thing where it sets it up is she goes out with Josh, I think Thursday night and Friday night and all this stuff. She gets ghosted on Saturday, and then by Sunday she has to go check on Emil Blonsky because his inhibitor goes off. That's going to violate his parole and stuff. So the PO wants her to go back him up as a She-Hulk in case he flips out and goes abomination mode on him, which we know he's not going to do that, and I highly doubt they had the budget for that at this point anyway. So I was like, I don't think he's going to do that. All TV shows they have to do that with everything. Even Stranger Things, they kind of had some couple more straightforward episodes in season 4 even, before they got to that giant finale. In the last 3 episodes. So it's like, even Stranger Things with their big giant balloon budget, everyone has to pace out their stuff. So I don't get so crazy with the effects stuff, but she has to go check on Emil Blonsky, and she gets stuck there because guess who pops up? Matador and Bull Boy. I'm gonna call him that instead of Man Bull. I like Bull Boy, it sounds better. But yeah, they pop up, and that element right there, for me, was mostly funny. I liked them two, the porcupine guy and all that stuff, and the vampire dude I thought was just such a weird ass thing. I was like, see, some of that kind of like irreverent type of humor and stuff like that is just kind of my bag, and I thought for the most part it added some nice levity to the more serious situation, but only in moments did I feel the comedy was taking away from her more dramatic side of her acting and her performance in that scene of her talking about how she feels about the double identity of She-Hulk and Jen and stuff like that. I think they should have just pulled back a handful of jokes in that moment. But overall, I liked when they got more serious and they were like, you know what? You need to love you for you and all that stuff. And the guy that actually attacked her in the alley turns up, and he's one of the dudes, and he seems like he turned over a new leaf and stuff like that. And I was like, I liked how he wasn't really being too silly either. I liked how he played it more earnestly. So I thought that balanced out that scene a little more better for me. And I like that we're getting to something with Jen. We're doing some real storytelling here. And we're using humor to do so in a more balanced way for me personally. And we're moving along the plot at least a little bit. Obvious to me, at least, that Josh was the bad guy. It was very obvious to me because he's literally the only person that pays attention to her, and he seems to take very specific interest into her out of nowhere at the wedding, right? Like, they didn't really seem to meet in an organic way that made it seem like he was more genuinely interested. But just me being an optimist, I was hoping so, but I was like, I don't think so. I think he's going to be a bad guy. And he ended up cloning everything on her phone and getting, for some reason, and then ended up getting the blood, I would assume. And he's working with the Hulk King, which I'm not sure who that is. Is that the leader? Is it somebody else? Is it someone we've met before in the MCU or this show?
I think it might find out. I'm hoping that it seems like they're kind of referencing the leader because it's already kind of like they've been talking that Jen will show up in New World Order with Captain America and stuff like that.
We know Tim Blake Nelson's coming back to be the main villain of that. Him popping in here real quick would set that up and get that tie-in like, oh shit, I know about that guy. I can get him in there for sure, and yeah, but yeah, dude, like that'll probably go down. But But yeah, like overall, this was definitely like a solid episode. Definitely a little bit better than the last two. But the first three episodes for me are just unmatched right now. I really, really enjoyed the first three episodes. I thought they were telling a great story with Jen, moving along her with her not wanting to be the She-Hulk, but people kind of pushing her to be the She-Hulk and her trying to start embracing it to kind of get up in the get a leg up in the work world and get a leg up in her dating life and stuff like that. I thought was working well, and it kind of balanced that sitcom humor with the MCU, and I thought it was just a really nice, perfect balance of something fresh and new for the MCU, but also had a clear story that they were telling at first. But now it just seems like you said, it just seems like towards the middle of the season, episodes 4 and on, they just seem to kind of lose their way in the writing room process, and it seems like you said, like I would be very shocked if they didn't get Matt Murdock Daredevil confirmed last minute to kind of get him in there, and they didn't rework some stuff to try in the process of production to try to get that to work, because the whole thing of her origin story was actually going to be in the next episode or this episode this week, 7 or 8. And they moved all that up to the first episode. So that shows you right there that they definitely were kind of reworking the building blocks of this Jenga puzzle as they were going along a little bit, as all TV and movie does. But it definitely seems like they didn't quite land on that super consistent flow of the storytelling and what they wanted for the series. And I get what they're going for, and it almost kind of feels like they're going for some kind of satirical stuff like The Boys and some of that zany kind of stuff. And things like even some of the James Gunn kind of Guardians type vibe, but it doesn't feel like these writers have a precise handle on that kind of material, and they can't go as edgy as The Boys is, and they can't go R-rated with it, so it loses some of that initial charm and what makes that really work for that show. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it just seems a little bit unfocused in certain ways at certain times. A lot less so with this episode, but you definitely see a little bit of scatterbrain kind of stuff going on here with the series, man. But I'm glad I definitely dug this one more and then getting back on track, because I was really starting to worry that I was gonna completely just dislike the show if they continued where 5 and 6 was going. So I'm thinking that it's gonna end up in a place where I'm gonna still be on like a solid maybe like it's just a moderately good, decent MCU outing, you know what I mean? Something I'll rewatch every so often if I'm doing an MCU TV like rewatch, you know what I mean? Going to do all the shows, or if I'm going to do all of Phase 4, or I want to do a whole rewatch of everything. But it's not something I'm going to jump back to on a regular basis, like all the time, or something like that. And you know what I mean? But it's fun. It has some good stuff to it, man. I like this episode overall. It definitely has some really funny bits for me overall, and I like that we're getting to some serious storytelling here. And Emil Blonsky to me has been such a pleasant surprise in this season and in this show. I really like what they've done with him in the character of making him comedic, but actually really using him to move the plot forward in a way and kind of create a connection with Jen that's actually kind of endearing, and I actually kind of enjoy that.
Right. I think I like how you mentioned like the Jenga puzzle, because that's exactly how this show is. It's like pieces have already been removed from the original set, and they're kind of like placing it in an awkward like situation where it could collapse at any minute. I think what they're gonna, for sure, like for me, the highest rating is gonna be for as an overall show. It's even with Matt showing up in Daredevil, it's for sure gonna be the 5, like at the most. At the most, it's gonna be for sure
bro.
a 5.
I gave Monsters a 5.
Yeah, like for me, it's just because I would have given it a little bit more of a slightly or higher rating if I knew that they weren't going to rely on a character like Daredevil / Murdoch from the Netflix series that a lot of people are starting to like now.
Fair
to
point,
be able
man.
to
Fair
like
point.
land on their feet, being able to be like, we stuck the landing, even though beforehand your whole performance wasn't always consistent. It was like something.
Right.
It was always like a bumpy road throughout the series, pretty much. And I've always been trying to keep like an optimistic like view within the show, trying to give it like the hopes and everything so forth. But after seeing majority of the episodes,
right, yeah, we're way more than over halfway. Yeah, so I think you're justified to feel the way you feel about it, dude. Like, like you said, like 2 episodes really just flipping the script like that. It's almost unheard of, you know. I can't really think of anything like that.
Right.
Really, like, you know, it's not like the Rogue One ending completely made the movie great for me. I just didn't like the first few minutes of it, but essentially the rest of it was just good, and then it just got better and better. Where it's like it's not necessarily getting better and better. It's kind of just either staying like decent or it's like dipping. You know what I mean? It's not
Right. It's
really
like a dip.
necessarily. It's not on an incline for you. It's more on a decline, if anything.
Yeah, and then like what they're kind of like a lot of I feel like a lot of like a good chunk of the viewers are kind of like that too. They're kind of on the
Yeah.
decline, and then when
One of my
Daredevil,
favorite
Matt Murdock shows
podcasters.
up,
Yeah,
yeah,
he completely dislikes the show at this time, and he was where I was in the first 2 to 3, and he's
yeah,
completely like almost off the boat now. He's like, damn, like I don't even know if Daredevil's really gonna do much for me in that regard, even though he likes the series. He's not a
yeah,
huge fan of the character like you even like
mm-hmm,
that. He just likes the show. So it's like
yeah.
he was like, I don't know about this shit, you know, like I don't fucks with it. If you fucks with it, that's good, you know, good for you guys. But
It's yeah,
I'm not on board with it, you know. And that's a middle aged dude. And you're
yeah,
a young man in his late 20s, mid 20s. So it's like in whole different perspectives and whole different backgrounds. So you're not the
yeah.
only one, bro. There's a lot of fan. Dude, this is the most mixed show, hands down. I was just looking at just the fan reaction of it. I was on IG just randomly scrolling as I be scrolling, and I saw a poll of people saying like, "Oh, where are you at with the series around like episodes 5 or 6?" Can't remember
Right.
which one, but it was between one of those two. And it's like more than half of the people don't fucks with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like hella disappointing for most of the people, majority, if not at least more than half. It's like 60 to the 70% of the people that voted on that poll, and this has thousands of followers and stuff like that, don't dig the series. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for
And Miss
sure.
Marvel, where there was some haters, it never was really that mixed in the sense of what I saw from critical reception podcasts, you know, YouTubers, fans. I never saw that with Miss Marvel. It was almost like more like an 80-20 situation, I felt like. Or maybe
Right.
70-30, where the majority of people like Miss Marvel, but there definitely was detractors, and it definitely
Mm-hmm.
didn't perform as well. But I also think that's because they went against motherfucking Ben Kenobi, who has a fucking fan following for 45 years next year. So it's
Yeah,
like, of
and that's
course,
like a whole other
Obi-Wan's
can
going
of
to get
worms.
more hype. And that's why they moved Andor and She-Hulk around, which actually has been beneficial for both series. And I think
Mm-hmm.
She-Hulk has done pretty good numbers as far as I've been told, as far as I know. It hasn't been like declining or like been a misstep for the series in terms of viewership for the streaming service. So they're not fucking up completely in that regard or anything like that. But a lot of fans feel just the way you feel, man. And I think
Yeah.
there's some people in my camp that are kind of in the middle because I really was having such a great time with 1 through 3. 4, I have issues with, but I think it's still fun.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of not so bad that it's good, but I have like some fun with some of the silliness. But 5 and 6, I just don't like those episodes, man. So it's like I'm definitely in the middle on it, where it's like 3 are great, 3 I have issues, and then 1's good, but I have like minor issues where I think the tone's a little imbalanced, and they try to act like they have like a big mystery up their sleeve when I called it 2 episodes almost
Ye-
ago.
Yeah,
know?
dude. It's like with the whole Josh things, like you mentioned, we kind of had like that hint for it already within the previous episode, and the only that it's like not really like a whole mystery behind it. If it's like the serum thing, that was like the only thing that the kind of we kind of had like who was like the main like who's the main big and bad for like She-Hulk, and then the only thing we really know so far is like the boss Hulk, whatever the heck it was on is the guys.
Yeah, the Hulk King, I believe, is
The
who he was
Hulk King.
texting. Yeah,
And
I'm like,
I
who the hell's that?
and
I
but
don't know.
yeah, and that's like the only time it would that's like the only time we would have that mystery. But people are already looking at it saying, okay, so if the leader is gonna be in the new Captain America movie, New World Order, it has to in She-Hulk's already going to be kind of that making an appearance within that movie. Would only make sense. It would be somebody within that ranks to do to be able to do all that, to try to get the blood and try to do that weird whatever they're gonna do with that plot moving forward with Captain America: New World Order. I think
Right.
at this point it's just the show is just really it's like how I mentioned to you off camera. If they ever decide for some reason make a season 2, just clean out
Right.
like just get like complete like new house.
Clean
Even
house.
like even with
Reboot.
Jessica Gal, like get rid of like everybody and get somebody with a team that's actually focused on what they want to tell with this character and tell it in a meaningful way for us to like the character. Because She-Hulk is supposed to be one of the characters that we're supposed to grow in love within this next phase. And so far, it's been kind of like it has that fan base really on that like not really liking her too much. It's like
It's like
and this
Captain
is-
Marvel or even like Henry Cavill Superman. You know, if you want to jump over to DC for a second, characters
Yeah.
like that, Ray, where what's her name, Kelly Marie Tran's character in episode 8. I'm forgetting her name.
I haven't seen episode
Rose,
8
yeah,
yet.
Rose Tico. That was a very controversial character. That was very split the audience, and I didn't like that character at all either. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm with you, dude. Like it's definitely like they're not getting you as deeply invested for some people out there. And one thing I do want to comment on concerning that kind of stuff with the fan reception and stuff like that. And obviously, I am not a woman or a female or anything like that. I don't identify that way. Was not born that way. So just want to, for any ladies watching out there, you know what I'm saying? I do see some of y'all out there that are enjoying the show and you do relate to what's going on with Jen and stuff like that. And even though I would say it's not necessarily telling it in a super, super, super focused way in the best way they could, I think it's still there. And I think a lot of women are definitely glomming onto it and can relate and feel it. The wedding episode with her having to do the different bridesmaid things, the cleaning and things like that. Apparently plenty of women are doing that as bridesmaids. So, hey, I didn't know, but apparently they are. And a lot of women do relate to how Jen is trying to find people that like her for her and not that kind of thing and not the superficial thing and trying to get through the dating apps and all that kind of stuff and being and on all that. So I do understand that. I think for the audience that they definitely were targeting, which is like the younger, more female, more feminine driven audience out there in the MCU and kind of bridging that gap for kind of the hardcore fanboys and fangirls like us and kind of the more kind of sitcom, Sex in the City, Ally McBeal crowd, kind of bridging the two gaps there. I just don't think they necessarily did it in a flawless way, but I do understand that it is working for a lot of people out there, and especially for the audience that they were definitely targeting. I think it is working in that way for them, but I definitely think they need to find a way to balance it out for the MCU fanboys, for the people that are more into that side of things, or just for people that just want more of the drama and or more of the dramatic elements and more of the character building and just getting to know her and really fall in love for her and get more in focus in that, like we do with sitcoms and like Friends and stuff like that. Everyone loves Joey, you know what I mean? And we really get endeared to him and learn a lot about him and his family and stuff over the years. And he's the comedic relief. Same with Lisa Kudrow's character of Phoebe. She has a lot of really deep things going on with her family and being abandoned as a kid and stuff like that. And she's a very funny, zany character. And I think they do a really great job at really having her be the comedic element, but also give her some really great storylines and her relationship and marriage to, what's his name? Our boy, fucking Ant-Man, Scott Lang, you know what I'm saying? Paul Rudd, he was up in that thing with her, and they had a really great storyline together where it was really funny but very heartfelt. So I think that, like, I'm with you, man. Just get some writers that can bridge that sitcom gap a little bit better, and I think it could create something where that crowd is going to love it, but we love it just as much as they do. Miss Marvel, for me, was the perfect way they did that. That was a Degrassi teen series, a YA series kind of, in the MCU, and it works for me. I don't like any other YA adaptations at all. So that's what I'm saying. I think Maze Runner might be the only one I kind of fucks with. The first one I saw part of, and I liked it. But I don't like any of that stuff. Twilight, Hunger Games, it never interested me. You know what I mean? And I think Harry Potter or something like that's the only thing in that realm that I ever dug. So I think they just got to bridge the gap fully for all the different fan bases and stuff. It's not going to work for everybody, but I think that hardcore MCU fan base, they need to make sure that they bridge that gap if they're going to do things like this, like they did with Miss Marvel and like they did with WandaVision. You got to bridge your gap.
Right, for sure, for sure. And it's totally understandable too. Like there's gonna be multiple different audiences. That's why like my critique, like I could easily go within one side or the other, but I'm trying to keep like that perspective there of what they're trying to like targeting for the audience.
Yeah,
'Cause
like
I already
what
know
they're going for as opposed to like we know what the intent is for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I think the thing is it's just like how you mentioned and how we talked about in the past is just doing it kind of with that blend of having both of the fan bases blend well with each other and kind of create that unique character experience. Even for the show, we can, because like even throughout the show we didn't really get too much in detail with Jen's relationship with her, pretty much with her friends and stuff like that. And
yeah, other than Nikki, we don't get any relationship with her and Lulu. We don't get too much with her and her family at all, which is a very big missing sitcom element. Family is everything in sitcoms.
oh yeah, for sure. And that's what they kind of like, it seems like they were kind of off that and that off balance. We didn't really see any relationships being built within the series, like as an overall, even in comparison to like previous Marvel shows so far. I mean, Miss Marvel did have that already established with like the relationships that Kamel already had with her family and her friends. Same thing.
And developed every single one of them into a whole nother place. Every single one.
Yeah, for sure. And even like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like way back earlier, we had a little bit more with Sam's family, pretty much, and how
Yep.
Bucky's, and they kind of established that whole community there. And it seems like within this show, it just doesn't have that, and it's just kind of like all over the place of where they want to go with the story itself. And I think
It's
that's what's
unfortunate.
that's what's kind of missing for sure, because like that's kind of like the basic foundation for like an episodic show. You kind of have to build that community within the storytelling you're trying to like tell amongst the audience, even if it's just like brief cameos like how they're doing right now. There is still ways for you to be able to explain the story in a true blossom manner for them to be able to, for us to be able to really, I guess, embrace like the characters within the She-Hulk's world. So when
Yep.
crossovers kind of happen, the characters that we already introduced kind of has a meaningful impact and everything so forth.
Exactly. That's the thing where I love me some Wongers. I don't. Maybe we should have took that out and had an episode where she's at the house with the fam. Maybe we should have took out the second Emil Blonsky thing and then maybe did something else. Maybe just throwing out different ideas. But I don't mind the Emil Blonsky stuff as much. But it's like I think they should have took out the
No.
Wongers episode and made that a family centric episode, or maybe have an episode where it's girls' night out with her and Nikki and they're doing something and she gets into some She-Hulk action. Somebody's messing around. I think there's so many ways where they could have developed her and Amelia and them go out and get some drinks after work one day and they get into some big thing with the plot going on with the Hulk King. I think there's
Yeah.
so many different ways they could have developed the characters that they set up, had a cameo or two, and Matt Murdock, Emil Blonsky. That's all you needed.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
really.
It fits
And
into the story. You have someone she's representing, and then someone else is in the same line of work, both
yeah.
ways over. And it's like that could have bridged the gap. They still could have had Matt be a little bit of that little extra fan service boost. And if they had that strong storytelling element, you wouldn't complain in the slightest. In fact, it would just put you over like fuck yeah, and Daredevil. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
like, hell yeah.
it would have definitely boosted it up. I
Yeah.
think honestly, I already
Like it
know
was
what
intended to
episode.
do.
Yeah, like I already know like there's some parts that they could easily just replace. Like
Cut
for me
around, yeah.
personally, is like the whole core situation with the Megan Thee Stallion. Honestly, like they could have had more development already there for something more of a meaningful purpose when it comes
Maybe
to
do the
the
Emil
episode.
Blonsky stuff then.
Yeah, have it something within that range, because within that episode, I always felt like, okay, so we obviously there is people who are like kind of like shapeshifters already in the world. We already kind of know that.
Yeah,
Kind of
Loki's
like,
always doing that.
yeah, I feel like it wasn't really, I guess, kind of necessary to have all that set up. I would rather have him go a different route, maybe somewhere and kind of developing more with her friendships, or even just dealing with like another court case that really does appeal towards her, instead of just something wacky, like something like a court case that kind of like someone's dealing with that whole identity crisis too, and she kind of has to she's going up against it, and she has to do her job as well, but also feel kind of some type of sympathetic empathy already there with her
Yep.
opposing pretty much opponent, and then
Yep.
kind of like understand a little bit more about herself. And I think that I would appreciate that a lot
I'm
more.
with you, bro. Like all the court cases should have did something like that, and they could still
Yeah.
have humor, and they still could be fun. I
Oh
thought
yeah,
the
for
one
sure.
with Mr. Immortal, I thought was a great balance of that because we got to see Nikki take charge and get something done in the workplace and do something herself, create a new connection with another character that we've been getting to know over the course of the series. And they might even become a little bit of a tight knit trio, or it might become at odds. But I think that was the way I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I like all the stuff going on with Nikki. It was all the stuff with Jen that was getting on my nerves.
Yeah,
And then
for
it was like,
sure.
oh, damn, like, do this, but then just do this stuff with Jen too. And then it's like, damn. And I like the thing in the courtroom where all the exes, or I mean, all the guys she went out on dates with could corroborate the whole thing with her keeping the trademark of the Titania
Oh.
thing and all that. I thought in the
Yeah, for
She-Hulk
sure.
thing with Titania, I thought that was exactly what you just said. It was literally that. Bam, we're getting character development with Jen. Bam,
least-
we're getting great acting moments with Jen. She's not saying anything. She's just doing it with, even with the CGI face, it still gets across. And you got to
Yeah.
give credit to the special effects team there. I'm like, bam, shit's working. Synergy, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny.
Yeah.
And we have some good stuff. And then Titania can be all silly and zany like she is, because I actually like Jamil and Jamil's performance. Is that I like the kind of funny, stuck up influencer. We see him all the time. So that was good satire and stuff with like social media and things of that nature.
I
MCU or informing what's going on with her. And that's the balance that they didn't strike, you know? Emil Blonsky case, awesome. You know what I mean? The whole thing with the Titania, She-Hulk trademark, I liked that. And then just some of the stuff around it, I wasn't digging. But then it was like episode 6, I'm like, really, man? We're going to go back and visit some high school friend at a wedding, and we don't even get any character development in any shape or form except for her feeling a little bit, a little down in the dumps about not being wanted by anyone at the wedding and stuff. Relatable. Being single at a wedding isn't always necessarily as dope
Right.
as having a date with your date with you, accompanying you to the wedding and stuff. So I thought that was, somewhat relatable. But then it was all this silly kind of stuff going around it where it just wasn't really focusing in on that stuff, and we didn't really get any like big things going on with any of the other characters and stuff like that. I would have
Right.
preferred her to go to a family wedding and then she's with her family and we still met Josh the same way. I think that
Yeah.
it's just like there's these little things I feel like they could have did to kind of just tweak it slightly just to make it a little more focused but still keep the sitcom fun elements. I think it's just they just lost focus in the middle of the season, and I think even if this next couple episodes ends on a strong note, it's like that middle piece is always going to be like, whoa, what the fuck was that? Did someone just get a flat? Like, damn,
Yeah.
what did we hit on the road right now? That's the
For
thing.
sure,
It's like
for sure.
no other show just had that big ass bump like that. It's just like, damn, guys, like, and it's just kind of a bummer for me personally, man, because I was really having a great time with it. And I really hate that Tatiana Maslany's gonna have to go forward in the MCU with all this mixed reaction in a similar fashion to Carol Danvers and Brie Larson. She even said
Yeah.
on an interview with D23, Brie Larson doesn't know she's coming back after the Marvels just because of all the craziness. So I hope that doesn't happen for Tatiana Maslany. I love her as Jennifer Walters, and I really, really hope that doesn't become an issue because I feel like I have a bad feeling about this, man. Star Wars quote, but I got a bad feeling about this a little bit in that regard.
Yeah, honestly, it's just like how I mentioned that it just depends on how they use her afterwards.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
a
There's
show,
room to grow for sure.
like, because that's like the only hopes and glimpse. Because like with Miss Marvel, like that's like a whole other can of worms as well to get into. But I feel for Tatiana's character, even with playing as Jen and dealing with She-Hulk, that's kind of like they can easily play around with that, having her character show up as cameos within, or even long appearances within movies, kind of furthering the development of her character as an overall. And it sucks that she starts off in that bumpy road and stuff like that, but it really depends on where the MCU is going to be heading out towards pretty much within phase 5 and 6, because we got
Right.
some exciting news coming up. But the thing
Yeah, man.
is
Woo.
that if what are they going to do even besides the big news? Like, are they going to actually improve the quality of what they're going to be releasing? Because I'm hearing like a lot of things too that Kevin Feige is spread so thin because there's so many projects already in place that he's not able to be within like majority of the influence within like the sets of like movies coming out and the TV shows coming out. Because not too
Yeah.
long ago, let me double check. Because not too long ago, there's issues even with the Blade movie.
Yes,
And
I was gonna say I was actually about to bring that up too. That there's a lot of speculation going on with why the director left and or not left, but stepped back to become an EP, an executive producer, as opposed to being the director of the film. Now there's speculation and rumors going on behind the scenes right now that they had about 90 pages of the script written, and that's all they had gotten through so far. And I'm not a screenwriting expert or anything, but from what I heard, that's fairly short and isn't necessarily feature length or anything like that. So they were having issues really cracking the story and getting some really great action scenes in there because apparently there was a couple of them that were written in so far that were a little bit lackluster. And as y'all know, MCU has had some very fantastic action sequences in every single phase in every single year since the MCU's been out in this thing. So they've always they got a pretty high reputation for that. So they definitely don't want to be coming up short in that regard. But that's kind of the
fumbling
big
it.
speculation going up right now, and people are wondering: A, is it Feige's getting spread too thin, and essentially he just finally got a chance to check back in on it and said, "Wait a minute, what the hell? Hold on. We
right.
got to get somebody in here. We need a James Gunn, someone that's going to come up in here, punch up this script, really come with a great idea, and really bring this thing home because this is a big piece of the puzzle. I feel moving forward in the MCU, and I feel like Blade might even be a bigger deal than we realize at the moment, due to the fact that they're taking those measures to really get it in. But as you know, everything's a part of a larger machine, so it's all got to work in tandem with each other And I'm not one of those people that thinks Phase 4 has had any lame projects, personally. I think this one might be the closest to that, but I would say everything else has been really good, if not great, personally for me. But I understand that it's just the tie-ins and where everything's connecting and stuff like that, where I feel like there's been some issues. But we can't ignore that Love and Thunder and Multiverse of Madness has been the probably two most mixed MCU films besides Captain Marvel and Age of Ultron and Iron Man 3.
Right. And it goes to show, like, for me, myself, it's just like, because even back in Phase 1 and 2, there was movies that are like that. Thor, Dark World, even a little bit a glimpse of Iron Man 2 as well, even with Whiplash. Like, that one's, like, very mixed.
What is
like,
my bird?
Yeah. And then there's, like, a lot of stuff within those phases that it leads on to a lot of mixes. And it's kind of like, it kind of does show up over here in Phase 4 as well.
For sure, yeah. Because Phase 3 was like, I think the only thing I wasn't really feeling like that was Captain Marvel. I liked everything else in Phase 3. I enjoyed Doctor Strange, and then every other one I loved it. So
yeah, and I think even with the quick end of the Blade comment too, like Mahershala Ali, is that how you say his first name?
Mahershala Ali.
Mahershala Ali, yeah. He's a great actor, and I'm hearing like he's having like issues even with the script as well. He feels like
he was very frustrated too. So they were like, "Yeah, we gotta get the right director, and maybe even get a new writer to really hone this home." To me, though, that's a good thing that they're catching this over a year out, though.
Yeah, and
they're not doing a solo situation. Oh shit! Redo the movie. Wait, what? Like. The editor's like, "Hey, I just finished the opening title sequence. You bitch."
That's like
so I'm glad they ain't even shot yet. So I'm like, I think people should definitely like calm down a little bit. I'm like, I think this is what you want to hear, right? Like, oh wait, hold on, we need to fix that. Let's make that dope. Okay, people are kind of complaining over here. Phase 4 is a little shaky. Let's make sure we got it. Phase 5's got to hit, baby. We got to hit with all of them. You know what I'm saying? We got to be throwing Mike Tyson. We got to be knocking out everybody when we step into the ring.
Yeah, and I think that for me, if it's during like pre-production stuff like
that's
that,
what it's like, that's what I'm pretty sure.
That's pretty much what it is.
I'm
then
cool
that's
with
fine,
that,
because with She-Hulk itself, this happened during, and this is what we got. And if this was
you can feel it, man. You can feel it, even if it's not like major issues behind the scenes. You can feel they're rejiggering, or they just didn't. You could feel the bump in the road. Like there was so much synergy in those first couple episodes, man. Even if people don't like it, I think most people could say like, I get what you were going for, and it flows smoother. You know, like you just feel all these bumps in the road, and I'm like, there's no way that shit went super smooth. And if it did, then for some reason, no one caught the bumpy writing. I don't know.
I think for me, it seems like they were in the brainstorming session, and whatever came up to mind, they said, yeah, fuck it, and just stamp it on as an episode, as like the main theme. It seems like, because it seems like there's like a whole lot of brainstorming concepts, but not really revised to what they want to execute throughout the series overall.
Your A plot, your B plot, your C plot.
Yeah. And it's just like, and it's like little, like very like a pinch of salt, like a little bit grained throughout the whole series, pretty much, which is kind of like it has that lackluster feeling to it. So that's why it's just this show, I will probably watch like the first two to three episodes, and then
like a refresher next time she pops up in something, like, oh yeah, let me go back and check out. And get the origin story again and make sure I got everything. Okay, cool, yeah.
And depending on episode 8 and 9, if they
really knock it out of the park with the Daredevil stuff.
Yeah, then I'll be like, okay, yeah. If they end up like, I don't know how the fuck they'll fuck it up, but if they do like somewhat of a bumpy thing, I'll kind of keep it as a back burner. But like, you know what? I'll just watch like the first 3 episodes. But if it's great, then I'll just watch like the last 2.
Just skip the middle. Every time you go back, just skip that middle.
Yeah, and just leave it, because like that's what the series is for me. It's like kind of has that the Boba effect. Like for me, I'll probably watch like the first episode and then lead it into pretty much with like the Mandalorian like showing
I'm literally gonna watch those
like,
Mando episodes right before season 3. I'm gonna watch 1, 2, and then those episodes, because it's literally like it's like almost like a fucking prologue or some shit. It's like.
And it's somebody's own show, dude. That's what it's
weird.
That's what it just feels like, which just sucks. I just really hope that they really do pick up the quality as more of a storytelling with this character, and they go in with a lot more depth maybe in other shows, other movies. But I really do hope that they pick up the missing pieces that we've all been looking for throughout this whole series.
I feel you, man. I feel you, man. I'm definitely a little more towards that positive, more that middle section, man. But yeah, I'm definitely with you, brother. I would say for sure, like I can't see. Yeah, unless these next 2 episodes are really just mind blowing Moon Knight episode 5 level deep drama. You know what I mean? I just don't see it. So it's like, I guess for me, man, the series, like I said, I'll wait and grade it final on our finale episode, like my final grade and stuff. But I
Hmm.
would say I can't see the series going over much of a 7 for me, man.
Much of a 7 for
Yeah,
me.
like a
That's like
7. I feel like it's just solid, entertaining.
mhm.
The less you're invested, the better it is for you. You know, I mean, I'm not even
Yeah,
saying that as like a backhanded comment. I mean, like that's
yeah,
actually true.
yeah.
My mom's probably gonna have a blast watching this because she wanted to check it out. She checked out the first couple, and she doesn't like doing the week to week as much, so she'll just binge things and wait till they finish. So I was
Right.
like, yeah, like, I'll remind you when it's over with and stuff. And you can just go on Disney Plus and binge the whole thing. I guarantee you, she's probably gonna have a much better time with it than either me
Then,
or you. And
right,
I
for sure.
even like the show for a decent bit. You know, like I would say I like it, just
Hmm.
nowhere near loving it, and I don't hate it, but I dislike certain episodes, so I can't necessarily say I love the show. That just feels kind of weird to
Oh,
try to
for
put that
sure,
out there.
for
You know
sure.
what I mean? So it's definitely just gonna be like that solid C range, I think. You know what I
C
mean?
range for you,
Like it's not garbage. It's like Iron Man 3. It's something like
Iron Man.
that. I don't watch that a lot, but if I'm like, I'm gonna watch the Iron Man trilogy. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna do
just.
a phase 1 through 4. You know, we're about to get Kang Dynasty. I'm gonna watch all the phases.
Oh yeah,
She
that's
Hulk's
gonna be
gonna
for
be a
sure a
part of
thing.
that, and I'm not
Yeah,
gonna be dreading it. But it's
right.
definitely gonna be like 4, 5, 6. Nope.
Yeah, it's just like you have
Skip.
what. Yeah, you have like those cuts where you have in between,
Yeah.
and no, I that's totally understandable. Like for me, it's like very rough for me because it's like a different. I'm like the different audience coming into it
Yeah.
from
And
what
I was
they're
gonna say, I think I
targeting.
enjoy sitcoms a little more than you in general, anyway.
Yeah, there's like very few sitcoms that I do enjoy. It's usually like medical sitcoms or something like that, like Scrubs or
I was gonna
whatever it
say
may be.
Scrubs was the one I know you fucks with that one. I like that one too. But yeah, I'm like
Yeah,
all over the ones, Fresh Prince, George Lopez, Friends, all that shit. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I'm
yeah.
watching all of them.
I think for me, like it's at like a 4.7, and like I mentioned, like the if they like land on their feet somewhat, the highest it's ever gonna be is a 5. I just reason why it's a higher caps, like mentioned before, you gotta use the reserves of a character that's well known outside of their series to make it like somewhat of a stick landing for their season finale
It's not
leading up
standing
to.
in its own right. It's not doing what Mandalorian season 2 did, for
Yeah,
example, where Luke's just that icing on the cake. He's just that little
yeah,
cherry on top. It would have
for
been
sure.
awesome without him if just some random Joe Blow showed up. But it was just that nice little moment in the finale, like, oh yeah, I know that X-wing right there. I
Oh
remember
fuck
that
yeah!
shit. You know what I
Everybody
mean?
lost their shit throughout that episode,
But it
bro.
was
Especially
still a
towards the end.
fantastic season of television,
Oh
even
yeah,
if it never came out. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that 100%. I think yeah, those are the main differences for sure between these two shows. And I just, like I mentioned before, I just really hope that they do this character justice even outside this series
yeah,
and
for
kind of
sure.
and if they do have a season 2, clean
Yeah,
up a
just
lot.
rejigger that.
Just
Get some new creative peoples, man. I'm like, maybe get the people that did Miss Marvel, man. You know?
get get someone, yeah. And by then, if she does appear in New World Order, use that model. Like it'll clean up the seat. Because people are like nitpicking it. I stopped criticizing it because I already know like the CGI is not great.
It's
It's
gonna be
not.
spotty,
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. I was just hoping the whole time it wasn't bad, which it's not. So for me, I'm
yeah.
like, certain shots, it's all right.
Yeah, yeah. Like if I needed to mention, there was like a scene within like when she was in the house, it kind of looked bumpy. But with the New World Order, like they have bigger budget, so hopefully within
Exactly.
that time frame, if they ever decided to do a season 2, they have that model there already perfected to the better liking compared to what we got within this
Yeah,
series overall.
and maybe shorten it just a slight bit.
Yeah, and if they wanted to do more of a background, so even post like the Captain America and get more in depth of her day to day, and still have that fun tone that they were looking for, just find the right people, look for like the creative side, like for them to be able to apply that like all their minds together and not be such a like different thought process of where they want to go with the show. And
For
if they're
sure.
able to do that, then the season 2 will be it'll be fine. And like, I think that's like the main thing that I'm pretty much just
Nowhere to go but up.
yeah. It's just like it's at that point. It's just all they can really do at this point is just approve. And
I
that's
feel
pretty
you, bro.
much.
That's how I'm on the same boat. Yeah, I was like, it ain't gonna get no worse. I don't think so. It's like it could only improve, man. But I think we're both on the same page. Don't love the show, but but I think we like the character, but we don't love or necessarily dig the show like that. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? I'm more
right.
like I like it. I don't think you'd say you like it. I would say, I don't know, but yeah, but we like She-Hulk. I just don't know about She-Hulk turning it law. You know what I'm saying? We need a little more, just needs a little bit of a rejigger, man. Just needs a little more of a refresher, I think, moving forward if they do a season 2 or just down the line MCU. But overall, it was a decent episode of television, man. It was okay. It was all right, man. Definitely, but I think we got a little bit of a tease of how the Phase 4 ranking is going to go, guys, because we're going to do a whole big live stream near the end of the year doing a Phase 4 ranking after they finally give us that goddamn Guardians Christmas special, and we've seen
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night, and of course, the biggest and baddest of them all, Black Panther. Wakanda forever, baby.
Coming
Once we've
out
seen
in
those last
November.
3 projects and She-Hulk wraps up a couple weeks from now, we're going to do a whole big Phase 4 ranking of the MCU, man. We're talking
Yeah.
all the movies, all the TV series. We're going to rank them all. I'm actually, right after She-Hulk wraps up, I'm going to start rewatching all the series and movies again leading into the end of the year, man. So it's going to be fun. Right after spooky season, it's MCU season up in this house. So
Oh,
it's going to be
heck
a
yeah.
good time, man. It's going to be a good time.
Even I Am Groot. You're gonna watch it. Have you seen that series?
I have actually seen a couple of those shorts. My
Oh, you
mom
have?
absolutely loves those. She's always watching them. She loves some Groot, especially Baby Groot. But yeah, I
Baby
watched a
Groot,
couple
yeah.
of them. It's pretty funny. It's
I
actually pretty
think
funny.
I'm probably gonna have to take a watch because I haven't looked at it
Dude,
yet.
that's some
but-
fun stuff to throw on in the background. It's like 5 minutes. Like if you could have them play one after the other or whatever. They're just shorts. It's like Looney Tunes in the MCU.
really?
That's what it feels like. It's not like as crazy over the top, but to me, it's like if Groot had his own Looney Tunes kind of episodes. It's kind of like that.
Okay, I think before like we do the ranking, I'm for sure gonna watch it. I'm gonna like watch pretty
that was-
much like
oh
leading up to
shit! I
Guardians.
forgot. We do have to rank I Am Groot. That's kind of
I Am
true.
Groot.
I'm gonna have to
I'm
watch the other 2 shorts. Like, I think I watched 3 of them. I watched the one where he goes to like a different planet, and then there's one where he hatches out of the where he takes his first steps, and then I watched the other one where he's fighting this weird bubble creature thing. You'll have to wait
Right.
and see for yourself. I think I saw all of them except one then, because I saw part of one where Rocket comes in at the end. So
Rocket?
I've seen most of it actually, but that'll probably be my last thing I watch. I'll probably do Guardians, and then I'll do I Am Groot right around that time. Do all the Guardians movies right around when holiday special drops.
Is there like
I
a lot
mean,
of
yeah.
appearances like within the Guardians team within
No,
I'm Groot?
it's
just, like,
literally just Rocket.
it'll make sense. It makes sense too because like those two are very
Animated
animated.
yeah.
They're already close as it is a relationship.
But you have references and very funny stuff with it. It's a very fun, like, harmless thing. So it's
heck
like, it's not going to rank high or anything on our ranking, but it's fun. Like, it's definitely something. So, yeah, so y'all are seeing his work out a little behind the scenes and on camera right here. But, yeah, we're going to include I Am Groot, too, because that's a fun one if y'all haven't checked it out. It's fun. It's sweet. Especially if you got little kids in the house or you got a nephew or something. Perfect for that.
Oh,
Definitely
yeah.
perfect for that. But, yeah, we're going to do a whole Phase 4 ranking. We're talking all the movies, all the TV shows. I Am Groot. We're talking about every single one of Phase 4 near the end of the year, man. So make sure you put that in the back of your brain. We're going to be talking about that again in, like, November, December. So we'll remind you. It's just something that crossed my mind right now that I was thinking about it. But this is pretty much going to be it for our She-Hulk Episode 7 recap / spoiler review, man. You know what I'm saying? And we want to hear from you guys down there in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys are saying or thinking about this show. You guys, you ladies, everyone in between, man. They, he, she, they. Everybody, man. I want to know what you think about the show. I really want to get into some discourse, man, and see what people are thinking about it. And all our fellow MCU fans, our fellow comic book movie fans and all that, and all you great supporters of the show and of the podcast feed and everything. We really want to know what you guys think about this show because it's so interesting to see the differing opinions online, man. And it's so mixed. I think it might be one of the most mixed things ever in the MCU, to be completely honest with you. So
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting to see how things are going, man. But I want to hear from y'all in the comments below. Make sure you share this with your friends, family, coworkers. You know what I'm saying? your long distance relationships, whatever, man. Send him some stuff to pass the time for him. And we're gonna be coming at you guys for the next 2 weeks to wrap up She-Hulk as well. And we're gonna be talking about Andor all the way through the 12-episode run every single Wednesday. Make sure you tune back here for She-Hulk for the next 2 Thursdays as we wrap up season 1. And we're gonna be talking about House of the Dragon on Mondays. So make sure you tune in for all of our recaps every single week. And spooky season right around the corner. Y'all see the backdrop. Tons of horror content coming at you, fast and furious. Make sure you're ready for it. And I ain't talking Fast 9.
Oh my God, that's serious. Fuck.
Hell yeah, baby. Fast 12. The multiverse. But yeah. You know it's coming, dog. You know it's coming. It's going to be Dom from Tokyo Drift versus Dom from Fast 5, man.
Jesus.
Now that's
that
ass.
Yeah, that's, oh my God, bro. I wouldn't bypass.
Hit your boy up. Hit your boy up, Universal. I got your script right here, man.
Give it to him, dude.
Fast 12, the multiverse, baby.
God
Let's
damn.
go.
I can see that
go.
even happening with what they're going.
Oh yeah, man. Captain Marvel's gonna be up in there. It's synergy, baby. Synergy.
It's all synergy.
It's all meant to be, man. But hell yeah, guys. So until we see you next time, make sure you stay tuned. You don't sleep. Peace out, mother F's.
Peace out.
Motherfuckers.